All right, hello and good morning. This is Mr. Nigel doing my second screencast for the Waldorf School math classes. What you'll see on the screen right now, I have two things up. One is in a separate tab here, I've got Khan Academy, and then in this other tab behind it, I've got a whiteboard app. So I found this, what did I do? I just Googled whiteboard, and the first couple links were trying to sell me real life whiteboards, but then the first non-advertisement link was to this tool that I'm going to be learning how to use while I make this video. But it's got different colors over there. You can play around with this on your own. It's free to use. Um, on top of that, I have a separate tab where I have Khan Academy, and I'm doing this in two separate tabs so that I'm able to show them both on the screen at one time. Just like yesterday, I started off, I just went to my student homepage, my learner home it's called, and then I went into the search bar right here and I typed 8th grade math, and by clicking on the first link it automatically opened a new tab and took me over to here. So this video is for all of you, whether you're in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. If you're in those lower grades, the math that this video is about might not be for you, but if you feel like watching it, 4th and 5th, more than welcome to. 6th and 7th, don't worry about it if some of these problems go over your head. You're going to work your way up to the problem set that I'm going to be doing today. But in this video today, I'm going to be completing a mastery challenge for it says, you strengthen 6 skills you just practiced. I haven't already practiced much in the 8th grade curriculum, so I don't think that that's for me, because if I just go ahead and do that, it's going to only give me problems from areas where I have purple here. That means that I've practiced. So how you should use this page, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to come down all the way here to the course challenge at the very end, and I'm going to just take the test that covers everything on this page. Now, you can do that. If you're not sure about that, you can also pick any section here. It really doesn't matter which section. If you're at a bit of a loss, just start at the top. Start at the top, go to numbers and operations, and instead of just having that one purple bar here, we see that numbers and operations is broken down into a whole page of its own, and we have how-to videos that you can watch, or you can skip those. There's what are those? So there's all these practice activities and questions that you can answer. This is the first activity that would actually be quizzing you on anything. All this is how-tos. This is the first one that quizzes you, and you've got your little stack of 3 things there that is going to track your mastery progress. But this is for, oh, nope, I don't want to practice that right now. This is for just repeating decimals. If we hop back over to the 8th grade page, oops, why is it doing this? 8th grade, that's where I want to be. And I just scroll all the way down to 8th grade, skipping over. We're going to take a course challenge. Now, the screencast recording tool that I'm using only allows me to make recordings of up to 15 minutes. So we're going to see how much of this I have time for. It says 30 questions in 30 to 45 minutes. So I'm anticipating already not getting this done before I run out of recording time today. But we're going to get through as much as we can and just let you guys see what it should look like when you're working on this. So let's go. Is it going to let me click let's go? Oh, no, it wants me to move my, there we go. Okay. Which line fits the data graphed below? Okay, so this question is honestly a lot simpler than, like, you might not even know what this is asking when you just read this question here. If you cover up the bottom part where it gives you the answer choices and everything else, and you're just thinking about this, which line fits the data graph below? Well, the data graph below is all these points. This is a real data point. Somebody, I don't know, maybe somebody, I don't know, one hour in, they were 8 yards away from the starting point. Some other person involved in this race was 2 seconds into the race, and they were seen at the 7-meter mark at exactly 2 seconds. These are all individual data points, the blue dots. And then these 3 lines either fit or don't fit within those dots. And so B just doesn't hardly hit any of them. It hits these 2 dots over here, but it ignores the rest. So we have 3 choices. It's either that this yellow line, red line, or green line fits the dots, or that none of them do. This one, you can just pretty much see. Now, what if you don't even know what this question is asking? You can even use process of elimination here. So look at line B and look at line C. And neither of them go through any blue dots. So if I thought that the answer choice was B, if I thought for some reason that the answer choice was B, and then I look down at C and I'm like, okay, why, if I think it's B, what is different about C that's going to tell me it's not that? since B and C, they're different slopes. This one's going down more steeply than this one is. But neither of them passes through any dots. So if I want to rule out B, I'd almost have to rule out C for the same exact reason. But A is unique. A, out of all three of these answer choices, has nothing in common with the other two. A passes through the dots. So just by one of these things is not like the other, A is the answer choice. Next one. Okay, these are going to get harder as we go, though, I'm sure. Next question. Okay, now we've got properties of exponents. So we might be using the whiteboard on this one. Select the equivalent expression for a cubed. Oh, there's a negative sign there. We've got to be very careful about that. There's a negative sign, so we have a to the negative 3. I don't like this whiteboard already. I wish that I could type. A to the negative 3 over b to the, what was it? I also don't like that I'm switching between tabs. So this applies both to you guys as you're trying to learn math and also to me as I'm trying to get better at teaching it. We've got to iterate on what we're doing. I'm using new tools. I'm trying them out. Some things aren't working as well as I intended, but we just have to go over those bumps and get through it and try a new tool tomorrow maybe. But this whiteboard isn't doing it for me so far, but I've got it up now and I'm going to stick with it. So how do we do this? We distribute this exponent 4 up here. We have inside parentheses. That means that this 4 applies to everything that's inside the parentheses. Now when I say everything, I really have two things. I have this up here and I have this down here. So if I just imagine me covering up, I can't really do it on the screen recorder, but if I covered up this b to the b squared with my hand and just showed you a to the negative 3 to the negative 4, well, that's telling you here's 3 copies of a to the negative 1, and we're going to make 4 of them. So the rule for this, and you can review the properties of exponents packet that I'll link to in this assignment, maybe, but you all received that the second week after we got back from break anyway. This is going to be a to the 3 times 4 is 12, and one of them was negative. Only one of them was negative, so our answer is negative. And then we're going to have 4 times 2 is just 8, so b to the 8. Now real quick, I'm going to look at my answer choices and see if this matches any of them. But first, this negative exponent, that's something that we would like to get rid of if we could, and it's really easy to get rid of actually. So I'm going to go ahead and write down what this is. This is the same thing as b to the 8, and then times, instead of a to the negative 12 on top, I have a to the positive 12 on the bottom, just like that. And so what I did there is I just rewrote this using the rule that, well, I shouldn't use a because I've already used that. I rewrote this using the rule that x to the negative 1 equals 1 over x. That is just the meaning of a negative exponent. And if you want an explanation of the philosophy or the reasoning, the proof why that makes sense, that this fact right here should be true, it's a little bit more involved to prove this right now, and it's not the point of this video. But Sal Khan has made a great explanation of that. So what's left in the top of my fraction here is just 1, because there was nothing, but I can't forget the fact that what I have here is actually not b to the 8. If I just write b to the 8, I have fundamentally changed the meaning of what I'm writing here. B to the 8 is not what I have. I have 1 over b to the 8. So when I rewrite this, another way to think of it would be that I had 1 over b to the 8, and then times a to the negative 12 over 1. When I say over 1, I haven't really changed it at all. And then when I rewrite this guy as a to the positive 12 being in the bottom, so I've rewritten that, and now I multiply. And it's just like multiplying any two fractions. You multiply across the top, 1 times 1 is 1, b to the 8 times a to the 12. I don't know what b is, I don't know what a is, so I can't actually resolve that any further. Now I look at my answer choices here. So I've taken a little bit longer with this one, but that's okay. I'm not holding myself to the timer here. It's more important that we're accurate and hopefully that the explanations make a bit of sense than that I get them all right. So if you had stopped at the first step here, you would find that answer choice right there, a to the negative 12 over b to the 8, is not among the choices, but when we put that a to the positive 12 in the bottom, it is. Now notice I never actually got this because in my version I just so happened to write the b first and then the a, but we're multiplying, so order doesn't matter. B to the 8 times a to the 12 is the same thing as a to the 12 times b to the 8. Order doesn't multiply. Nice, got it right. Now, let's see what they had to say about step-by-step solutions. So I've said this to you guys before, but I haven't actually gone into it. What I did here was I just clicked, even when you get it right, there's still a link. Even if you get it right or wrong, either way, they give you a link after you answer the question that says, show me how to do it. And so they reveal all 2 out of 2 hints right at the same time. There's the first step, distributing. Yeah, so this part here is probably the part that is most like a traditional math textbook. This is the part where they say, here's an example problem that we've worked out for you. The cool thing is that you get to see it when you need it in the place where you needed it instead of having to flip through the pages of a 300, 400 page thick textbook. It's right here when you needed it, the answer to this sample problem that you just attempted. But don't read this and expect it to just totally make sense the very first time that you read this. This is how to do one problem. And you may very well get problems of this type wrong 10, 20 times, maybe less than that, that's fine. That's great. If you get a concept faster than that, more power to you. But don't be worried or beat yourself up about it if you look at this and you're like having a hard time following along, or you look at this and you get to the end of it and you're like, all right, that makes sense, but I still don't think I could have figured that out on my own. That's okay. You got time. You're going to do way more practice problems. Yeah, patience with yourself. Patience with yourself in all things in life. Yeah, you know, be patient with other people, but don't forget to be patient with yourself too. Here we have y equals 2x minus 1. So what that tells me is y equals 2x. I'm going to clear my whiteboard here. Oh, there's got to be a faster way to do this. That's frustrating. I'm going to figure out a better whiteboard tool for us before next week, guys. But for right now, this is what we're stuck with. I might even end up just using the equation editor in Google Docs. I kind of like that. It's a little bit more involved. Like, you can't just click and drag to write, but it comes out so much neater and more easy to read. So what we have here are 2 lines. One of them is in y equals mx plus b form. Y equals, m is the slope. M is this number. It could be positive or negative. It could be a fraction or it could be a whole number, but it's whatever's in front of the x. And then what else is out here is what we call the plus b part. It can be positive or negative, but if it's this part right here tells us where this line, we're going to graph this line on the Cartesian plane, and this is going to tell us where this line crosses the y-axis, and this is going to tell us the steepness of it. This line right here is in what's called standard form, and the trouble with standard form is that it's a little bit harder to graph. You would have to actually rearrange this equation or plug in multiple points and test. There's no way to just look at this equation and at a glance say, I know the slope and I know where it's going to cross the y-axis, so I can just sketch it very quickly and I don't even have to test 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 points to figure out if it's a line or where the points on this line are going to lie. Standard form, you will see it. It's less useful, but we don't actually need to graph either of these lines to solve this problem. I'm going to do it just by way of explanation anyway. But, oops, I'm going to probably do a quick sketch just by way of explanation, but we can answer this one without that. So, it says you might need a calculator. If you need one, that's fine. Is 1, 1 a solution of the system? So when we're talking about a solution of a system means that we have 2 equations here, and a solution to a system is a point where both of those equations are true at the same time. A point, like the point 1, 1, does that make both these equations true at the same time? So to answer this one, I'm going to start by copying down the equations. Even when you're working online like this, it's good to have a piece of paper with you. I don't recommend trying to do Khan Academy without pencil and paper out. I know that the problems are online, and maybe some of them you can see all the way through to the answer, but you really do need pencil and paper to work these things out. So we have y equals 2x minus 1, and then I believe it was 5x minus 4 y